Welcome to another Bike World used bike review. We've joined forces with the guys down at M&P Direct in Swansea to bring you reviews of some really old bikes, some fairly old bikes, and some pretty new ones. Like this Kawasaki Z900RS Cafe. This Z900 is a 2019 model with about 5,500 miles on the clock, and it's actually for sale at M&P right now for 8.5 grand. New ones of these go for 11,100 if you want the fancy green one, and this one's got a bunch of accessories on it too, so we think it represents a pretty good value bike. Now, I've not actually had a chance to ride the Z900 yet, all in good time. John actually went drag racing on one a couple of years ago and had an absolute blast. I'm a bit of a fan of old school four-cylinder Kawasaki's. It's kind of a secret love of mine, so I'm quite excited to get up into the mountains and go and see what this thing's like. These used bike reviews are brought to you with the help of DataTag. Now, the reason DataTag stepped in and wanted to do some promotion with us on the show is because they want to highlight that even with a second-hand bike, if it's already been data tagged, you can re-register the data tag to your name, your address, your contact details, so that if it does get stolen, they're not going to phone the last person who owned the bike. So log on to their website, £20 admin fee, you can put all your details on and have the full benefits of the data tag system. And by handy coincidence, this Z900RS has got data tag on it already, so the perfect example of how you can do just that. Now, I won't lie to you, we had high hopes of shooting this little piece down on a beautiful, picturesque marina, looking over the Bay of Swansea. It's going to be gorgeous, but when we got there, it was blowing a gale and freezing cold, so we've come and hid in the warm showroom here at M&P. I've had an awesome ride on that Z900RS today. It's something I've wanted to ride for a long time, and in just pure, simple motorcycling terms, it's an absolutely brilliant bike. It's really honest. I think the best way to describe it is it's a traditional motorcycle. It's got a round headlight, an obvious fuel tank, and you can see all of the engine. It doesn't get any more traditional than that in motorcycling terms. And the ride is kind of a modern reflection of that. You can't talk about a Z900RS without talking about the old ZRX 1100 and 1200. I love those bikes, but they do feel long in the tooth now. This thing has better brakes, a much better chassis, and is lighter and easier to ride. Perfect. But it keeps that character, it keeps that beautiful four-cylinder Kawasaki engine sound, smooth riding, and hey, styling looks awesome too. Now, buying a used Z900RS, it's a little bit of a rare beast, to be honest. There's not typically that many of them around. Kawasaki don't bring loads of them into the country every year, and people that buy them tend to do very little mileage and hang on to them for a long time. When they do come up, that's good news, because it means the mileage is low and the condition's good. They're not going to have been thrashed, ridden all winter and hammered in general. A couple of little quirks you'll see on the Z900RS that aren't really faults, they're just things they do. One, the idle's really high. When they're cold, the engine idle sits really high to warm the engine up quickly. So if you fire it up and ride off straight away, the first couple of junctions, it's a bit of getting used to on the clutch. Secondly, the tyres they come on as standard aren't the greatest things on a wintry, cold British riding day. Even when it's sunny, they're not the most confidence-inspiring tyres, so upgrading to something more suitable for our weather. This one's got some Pirelli Angels on it, but yeah, a better tyre, just not the OE spec tyre, which is designed for mileage and stability. Now, in terms of reliability, you kind of can't hope for a better bike. We spoke to a few people in the know and they were like, those Z900s they're not a stressed engine. That motor is derived from the Z1000 engine. It's the same one used in the Z900 Ninja, but this is obviously a calmed down, made to look pretty version of that engine. It's not stretched in terms of performance and power, so it is a really, really good solid unit. And the rest of the bike just doesn't seem to give people any trouble. Now, that might be reflected in the fact that people aren't doing 30, 40, 50,000 miles on these bikes, but at the same time, it's good to know that you can chuck it in the garage over winter, pull it out in the spring, and provided the battery's been charged, it's just going to fire up and go. Now, in terms of buying used, this bike is 8.5 grand, which on a bike whose list price is now 11,100 quid, it's pretty good value. That's got 5,500 miles on it. It looks, rides and feels like a new bike. Plus, on top of that, you get the heated grips, you get the fact the tyres have been changed, you get the RNG crash mushrooms and the double bubble screen. So it's kind of a sensible choice if you ask me. And in terms of what you would use it for, it's a bike for just enjoying a Sunday blast on. There are better commuters, there are better bikes, 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 there are better long distance travel bikes and there are better track day bikes, but that thing will put a smile on your face all day long. There's a lot to be said for bikes like this. If you're a kind of more calm, normal rider, it's got loads of mid-range power, really smooth, really easy-going engine. It will cosset you at whatever pace you want to ride. Now, if you're a bit of a loony and like to thrash a bike some, Z900RS is actually a really good bet. The way I see it, to get the most enjoyment out of a bike, to use all of its performance, with a sports bike, you need a really good road, a really clear road, and you've got to be going really, really fast before you're starting to trouble the chassis of the bike. On this, everything starts moving around and you actually start having to ride and wrestle the thing a lot earlier, which I think is a lot more fun. I tell you what, isn't a day like this what motorbiking is all about? Sunshine, little beautiful babbling brook, windy little country road. It doesn't matter whether you're on a super bike, a supermoto, a used bike, a brand new bike, or some classic old junk from Chris's garage. Days like this are good for the soul. Motorbikes are awesome. They're just awesome. That's it, the end of it.